Are your boring objective markers giving you emotional damage? Well, good. Then you're going to learn how to make them not boring and look like holograms. Here is a dirty, simple tutorial. So I printed these off on my Photon Mono 2 the other day. Yes, I have a 3D printer now, and I am an addict. If you know a good little rehab, let me know, please. Anyway, these are the Human Defense Force objective markers for Grimdark Future. I prime these up black, and the first thing I'm going to do is use a really, really dark blue. Ritterlich blue from the Reaper Miniatures line is my dark blue O choice. Now, get this everywhere. We are not painting this up like an object. We're going to make this look like it's holographic, and I just want this to stand out more on the tabletop instead of looking like your realistic, boring objective. So just take your dark shade of whatever color. This works with anything as long as you can get a fluorescent or a neon color. So just get that all over the base, all over the miniature itself, and paint the whole thing up and repeat for as many objective markers as you have. A word on making these: if you don't have a 3D printer or you're just starting out in the tabletop gaming hobby, these can be made out of anything. They can be a flat base with a number on them. They can be random objects, leftover weapons, extra models, whatever you happen to have on hand. You do not have to do this. But if you do have a 3D printer, I can tell you right now, there are tons of little markers like this, and One Page Rules makes them for all their factions. So again, don't be too careful. Just get the color all over the model, including the base. Make it all as solid as you can. And if there's any black still showing, that is totally fine. It's not going to hurt things at all. As a side note, if you're wondering why I went with the holographic look, these are what I imagine you would see from a scanner or a map of an area in a sci-fi setting. You're looking at objectives you can't physically see, so this is what I think you would actually see as the commander in the game. Nifty, huh? Alright, so once you get these all basically covered in that dark blue, again, do a good job of it. If any black showing, oh well, not the end of the world. We're going to go ahead and go to our fluorescent. This is huge miniatures. They make good neon colors in good range. And we're going to dry brush this. We are not going to paint on a solid coat. If you're new to the hobby, dry brushing means you take a brush, kind of like I just did, put some paint on it, and wipe most of it off on a paper towel. Now, the way to go about this is you want a flat brush, kind of like I'm using here, and you want to start at the edges. And you notice that the color is not solidly going on the miniature. It's not going on all the nooks and crannies. It's just kind of on the raised surface detail, and that's what you start with. Corners, sharp edges, protrusions, things that are sticking out. That's what you're going to start with first. Start gentle, because this is easy to overdo, and it is a messy technique. You're not going to get this to look neat. But the point is, you don't want to have more color on the model than you want. So go light and build up. If you have to go back, you're going to have to paint the whole thing dark blue again. So go light, and then really just take your time on this one and get it looking how you want. It can be as bright or as dark as you want. But I recommend, especially if you're going the route I'm going and using neon like this, you want a good smattering all over the model. You don't want to leave anything out, and you don't want to leave any detail unshaded. So take your time. And again, this is a messy technique. This is not one of the ones where, you know, it's only meant to be certain places. This is messy. This is random. This is something where you're going to let the brush do what it's going to do, and that's what you're going to deal with. And if you notice that your color is getting really thin, it's not going on the model so much anymore, load up like I just did, wipe off most of the excess on the paper towel, and go back to the miniature until it looks the way you want. And of course, repeat for all your markers. Again, don't miss the base. You can even stipple. What I'm doing here, where I'm just pushing the brush straight onto the model, that's called stippling. That's another skill you're going to want. It's good for filling in areas that don't seem to be getting hit very well. Again, same approach, just go over, get all the raised, protruded edges, and fill in as you go. Rinse and repeat, people. Nothing special yet. Now, when you get to the end of this step, you might notice that, well, your highlight is not that highlighted. It doesn't seem to stand out under regular light quite so much. This is kind of faded. You could see it, but it doesn't stand out on its own. So we're going to go one step further, and we're going to brighten this up even more. And this one you do really want to be very careful with. We're going to mix white in with our neon color. And again, you can use this with any color you have a fluorescent paint in. It can be blue, it can be red, it can be green. I'm going to be painting my Human Defense Force blue, so I figured this would be a good match and something that would match the army on the table. So mix about 50-50 your white and your neon, and really be careful with this one. Take more time getting paint off your brush on the paper towel before you go to the model, and apply this very, very lightly. Start very carefully on this one because it will brighten things up very quickly, and you're already 2 steps in, so you don't want to have to go back at this point. But again, you're going to see me start on the raised points, the raised edges, and I will go for the gusto as I move on. And I'm still hitting the base. I'm not just hitting the model, I hit the base too. So get everything covered in this, so all the raised areas, even some of the flats, have that 50-50 mix of white and neon on it. And it's going to, at this point, look under normal light very, very standout-ish. You'll be able to see this a lot more clearly. And if you go the extra mile in your games, if you're one of those guys that likes black lights, wait till the end. On a totally separate note, I really am getting into 3D printing. It's addictive. I don't know any other way to put it. I've had my printer unboxed for about a week now. I've made 6 or 7 different prints. I've got 20 or so models, an APC, these objectives. I've even printed something off for a friend on Twitter. And I can't tell you how much this has opened up my creativity and the opportunities you have as a gamer. You don't have to go to a shop anymore. You don't have to buy a kit. You don't have to wait a week for shipping. You don't have to hope the company doesn't raise its prices. I mean, you buy the files, you print them out as many times as you want, and Bob's your uncle. Anyway, I'll quit moaning on about that. I went out to my garage, I turned on a black light, and if you're like me and you put these on during games sometimes, you now have these really standout glowing neon objectives. This is also how you would do a ghostly look, but yeah, that is pretty darn good if I do say so myself. So there's your holographic objectives. I hope you guys found this useful. If you want to see more videos like this, I will be doing a lot more with Grimdark Future and one-page rules. These are obviously for one of the armies I'm going to use in a campaign. I will be doing more of them. So like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to see more content, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay savage.